Today I'm going to be presenting the culture of electronic cigarettes, or vapes, as they're called. So first I'm going to be talking about how they've changed over the years. Next, what I'm going to be going over is kind of like the current dangerous trends that are kind of like happening nowadays. And then I'm going to talk about the regulation that's probably going to be proposed to vapes and e-cigs in the next like 5 years or so. So vaping and e-cigs are a pretty popular trend that blew up around 2010, about 5 years ago, give or take. I mean, and they've really kind of changed the way that the whole smoking and tobacco, not for kids, bad for kids, is advertised to the public. It's a whole different campaign. It's not like cigarettes. It's kind of like its own deal. It's really hard to stop kids from getting their hands on these things because they don't smell, they don't stink. So throughout time, there's been a few different styles that have come out. The first one looked more like sticks than anything else. They're like a small battery with just a chamber, and back then juice was just cherry flavored or apple flavored, or they were very simple. Then towards the middle, maybe in like 2015 or so, those metal tubes became really popular because you could make big clouds, and people would call themselves cloud chasers. And it was this was kind of one of the more dangerous times in the period because people didn't know what they were doing so much, and they would blow themselves up. And if you guys were on the news maybe 5 years ago or 4 years ago, you'd notice that there was all these explosions going off of people not taking care of their batteries and stuff, and people would lose hands or get burns on their face, and sometimes up to third degree, very deep. And on the last picture we have over there is called a box mod, or a regulated variable wattage mod. And those things are actually a little bit safer than the metal tubes. They regulate the batteries and make sure they don't get too hot. And they also, you can change the amount of vapor that you get per hit. So it's a little bit more scientific. It has a computer chip inside, and it allows you to do other things that these two models don't allow you to do. Oh, and this was from Men's Health. So that leads to the newest trend after those three, which would be Juuls. And I'm sure you guys all know what a Juul is, or what a fix is. It's like a big popular culture movement right now, the Juul. So this basically, what it's called, is called a salt nicotine device. So normal e-juice is derived from like regular nicotine, and they put it in a mixture with what's called vegetable glycerin. And that makes the soluble nicotine that you could put into your juice, and that's what gives you the head rush or whatever, like a cigarette. But with these things, whereas a normal vape juice could have anywhere between like 3 and 6 milligram, this is 35 to 50 milligram. So obviously it's a lot more addicting, and it's a lot more discreet. And that leads to a lot more children buying these over the conventional, bigger, more clunkier vapes. So the problem with these Juuls is that a lot of teachers and parents think they're like flash drives, or they're like, and I guess this isn't such a big issue anymore because now there's some in the news and it's so famous. If you guys didn't realize, actually the Juul headquarters was raided by police about a week ago, and they're trying to figure out why so many kids have these devices. They're not sure why. They don't know if it's an advertising ploy that they had. They don't know, so they have to look into it, but it is a big problem right now. And speaking of big problems, that leads to regulation that's going to be probably enforced on vapes and e-cigs because of companies like Juul that make these super addictive high nicotine devices that are easy for kids to get their hands on. There's already been quite a few regulations placed on vaping, and this is taken from whitecloud.org, whitecloudvapes.edu. So I guess in San Francisco, actually, they've already banned any type of flavored e-juice or e-liquid. So all they want you to have is either tobacco flavor or no flavoring at all. Whereas when this whole trend started in California, that's what was very popular, is you could get any flavor you wanted, such as, like I said in the beginning, cherry or strawberry or any type of cool juice. What they basically want to do is make it not so appealing to kids. And I don't know if you guys have, you guys still listen to radio, right? I guess sometimes. But on the radio, there's actually all these crazy advertisements from the California Public Health Agency, or California Public Department of Health, about, you hear the kids, they're talking about all the fun names that vape juices come in. Booger sugar, brain freeze, and it's powerful marketing. They've made a very big budget so that they can fight this. And it makes sense where they're coming from, but I think they should be going about it in a different way, because I'm not trying to be biased here, but this is obviously a lot safer than smoking cigarettes. And I forgot to mention this in the beginning of my deal here, but over 9 million Americans vape, and a lot more than that smoke. But if we could get that number up to a little bit higher, it would be a lot safer for the population, a lot better. That leads me to my conclusion. So what I would like to say about this is, I think personally, and there's been a lot of studies done, that vaping's healthier for you than smoking is, and if you're thinking about quitting, you should definitely give this a try if conventional methods such as nicotine patches and nicotine gum haven't worked for you. You need all the help you can get when you're quitting smoking. That's for sure. And so things are never quite as straightforward as they seem, because the California government Department of Health is trying to tell you that vaping's bad and you shouldn't be doing it. But if you're smoking, if you're not an underage kid that's trying to get your hands on this, I think it's a very good alternative to someone to live a healthier lifestyle. That being said, today I talked to you guys about the history of vapes, what the dangerous trends are now, regulation that's going to be happening soon. I hope that you guys can look at this and make a judgment for yourself, because there's a lot of conflicting arguments based down here, and it's really important to do your own thinking. So if you want a call to action, I would say look up either Still Blowing Smoke, which is the California website about vaping, or Not Blowing Smoke, which presents the other side of what the vapors think. So I think you should see both sides and determine for yourself what you think about it. Thank you guys.